So because the computer could be any textbook, therefore the computer made the value of any textbook go from essential to inessential, because you can just get the images of the book instead. And as long as and you can even print them out. It costs a little bit to print them out. The storage of the paper, you know, there's that. Uh, it's inconvenient. You need space. Uh, all of this means that the book, we think, is A, it's going out of style. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But B, it's inessential. Students don't need a physical hard copy of the textbook in order to um, participate in class, as far as I understand. I mean, maybe not. Maybe there's some essential learning aspect of the book, the physical. Maybe there's some, but I think it's just being used as a feather now. It's the Dumbo feather. Dumbo is this animated Disney feature. The feather is a magical object, and I think what's happening is that the textbook, the physical textbook, is being demoted from an essential scientific tool or resource to a Dumbo feather, a magical object, inessential, only to be used in cases of mental illness, excessive superstition, and a whole bunch of other things that we should avoid on principle. And then basically we shouldn't tolerate any sort of claim that you can't learn without without killing trees. In other words, learning is killing trees, and turning those dead trees, printing images on the dead trees. In order to honor the images and sort of honor the act of our effort in attempting to understand the image. So this starts to look like this primitive, kind of. Now, of course, the problem is that you say books are unreliable, books can burn, but computers can burn too. But computers can also get viruses, and the government is also afraid of computers. It's a huge problem. We don't have throttled computers. You don't have I mean, we do, in a sense. The government isn't going to be afraid of, like a genuine Amazon, what you call Kindle or whatever. Just, a computer that only does that. Except for the problem is that governments are afraid of books. The problem with the computer is that it's a book that changes. It's a book that changes from, a nice, wholesome motherhood and apple pie book to, this kind of radical commie book. And it changes at a moment's notice. So it's sort of this radical fuel. So this is a huge problem for governments, because with the physical textbook, all you had to do was find the offending books and burn them, and all the other books remained intact. The Bibles, all of the scientific knowledge, and so on and so forth. And in a sense, the academic world is set up so that books can burn individually. So that if someone is branded as a heretic, if some terrorist goes through from official act, edict, or not, then the thinking is that the vast majority of books will be saved in each one of these instances. It is a genocide. Each execution of a book is at least potentially a genocide. We aren't sure. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But so what? I mean, we have, um, you know, it's just a book. I think the issue here is the importance of books in lives, and not, not letting uh, uh, sort of this idea that you can live in fear of a book dominate your mind, because you can't live in fear of a book. I mean, where do books come from? Hermes. It's all called. But the computer is toxic. The computer clearly is a problem for governments. It's a problem for society. It's sort of cancerous. It's harmful. It's addictive. It's a drug. Um, and moreover, the computer is an excuse. I was using a computer. I was programming a computer. I was observing the results of a calculation. I mean, obviously, if you're a statistician, it makes sense. But if you're a mathematician, what problems are you working on? I never made reference to a computer when I asked about what problems you're working on. Of course, if you're studying computers, that's one thing. If you're studying processes, if you're studying some subject area, there's this whole culture of mathematical study that exists independently of the computer. There's a culture of knowing who knows what. There's a culture of knowing who learns at what pace, what they specialize in, what theorems they know, all of this stuff. So the issue with the mathematician and doing mathematical work is having a subject area that you study, having problems. I mean, really, of course, it sounds ridiculous when you say it that way. You say, having problems. But having a problem is absolutely essential. Having problems you care about that are connected, that are obviously mathematics problems, math is having problems. This is sort of the thinking here, is that there's this sort of mythology of all the problems in the world. And the thinking is, well, it's possible to solve all the problems in the world except for the problem of not having a problem. And then you have artificial problems. But this is the thinking. This is the creation of mathematics, the creation of artificial problems. And having these problems and understanding that there's this hierarchy of mathematics problems, and that your progress in mathematics is progress through this hierarchy. Each new definition, each new theorem is part of a platform on which you can build, this sort of understanding, this intuition, this vision. You could even say divination, or scrying.